Welcome to Speaking of Entrepreneurship, a podcast powered by the Center for Entrepreneurs at Cuyahoga Community College's Corporate College. Here, we dive into real conversations with industry experts, innovative founders, and business leaders who share their insights, challenges, and strategies for success. Whether you're launching a startup, scaling your business, or just exploring the entrepreneurial mindset, this is your space to learn, adapt, and thrive. So I am here with Alvin Frazier here at Tri-C JazzFest, and we're going to sit down. We're going to talk about some of his background, his music. I'm excited. Thanks for being here. I'm we're right at kind of the beginning of things. I'm assuming you're excited to play here soon.
I'm very, very excited, man. Can't wait.
Good. You said that you sometimes lead a double life between the R&B guy and the jazz guy.
Yeah.
When you're on stage, do those two talk? Do they talk to each other? Are they fighting with each other like the devil on one side, the angel on the other, like you see in the cartoons? Like how do those two work together?
So, they work together pretty well. Certain shows that I'm doing may be more where it is a show where I'm singing more. So it's more of the R&B side of what I'm doing. And then another show may be more where it is jazz. So I'm switching between guitar and bass. And there may or may not be a vocal depending on the show, right? So I'm able to get a pretty good balance. But, I was saying this yesterday to the guys in rehearsal. Interesting thing is that when I do a show where it's heavy on the singing, I'm thinking less about being a guitarist, right?
Oh, sure.
Even though they kind of run in tandem, but it's just like I'm so focused on being the vocalist at the time that if I got to play guitar, I got to, quickly make the switch in my mind, because it's a different, kind of energy that I'm going into when I'm playing guitar, especially if I'm leading with it.
I can only imagine. I mean, it's the walk and chewing gum at the same time thing. That's gotta you've kind of got to focus on one or the other because it's tough to do. Yeah, totally makes sense.
Yeah, it took me a long time to learn how to play and sing for years. Like I can do it now, but again, it's when I'm on a jazz set, it's all about the guitar work or the string work primarily, and then when I'm on an R&B set, it's all about what I'm thinking about vocally. And the guitar, I can play chords and stuff like that or something, but it's just a total different mindset.
Oh, sure. Because you're going from rhythm to lead then in many cases. It makes sense. But just the ability to do them both is just that's a, like I said, it's the walk and chew gum thing that is so difficult to do.
Yeah.
You said you realized jazz was where you fit artistically. Like, when you decided, hey, I'm going to do an instrumental band.
Yeah.
What changed at that moment? Was this light bulb moment? Was it an evolution? How did that come about?
So as an artist, I believe the mantra of most artists is about evolution, right? You always want to grow. You always want to be ever evolving, within your art. So for me, I've always found ways to kind of reinvent myself.
Sure.
So, of course, I was a lover of vocal music, but also I got turned on to jazz music when I was about 11 years old.
Okay.
More distinctively. And at that point, I was changed after I experienced it. I was like, wow, okay, this music is beautiful. Who knew instrumental music could sound this way? And I think that was kind of like the seeds that were planted so that later on, when I started to become more of a serious musician outside of being a singer, it was like, yeah, jazz. I want to get into that. There's a space for me there.
Sure. But you grew up as a self-taught musician, right?
Correct.
Well, is that literally just sitting in your room, figuring it out? Or was there research? Or how did, I'm always curious when it comes to self-taught musicians, how they're is it just plucking the wrong string until you finally find the right one?
Yeah, it's it's definitely trial and error. But, I believe I had a natural gift for it very early. So that in terms of how my ears were, I could pick out things. I could, sing in key and different things like that at a very young age. So when I started to actually put my hand on an instrument, when my mom and dad got me my first set of instruments, I'm probably like 2 and 3. They're just kind of just seeing what I could do, picking it out. And I would listen to a lot of music because obviously there's a lot of music playing around the house. My dad was in the singing group at the time. And so, I had all this music around me. And so obviously you're naturally impacted by that. And that made me want to learn. I said, I want to learn. So really didn't have the money for lessons when I was coming up, but I had so much determination and passion for it. I was able just to sit and spend time learning it. Obviously this is way before YouTube and all that stuff like that. So it was really about listening to records, man, like actual vinyl records in particular.
Sure.
Playing records and listening to, what the parts were doing and then going to the instrument and saying, hey, I can pick that out. And that's kind of how it started.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
You asked about like influences like George Benson.
Mm-hmm.
What drew you to him as an influence? I mean, it's so interesting to hear how people get connected with him. Was it just a feel? Was it an association? Was it just, where did it come from?
It was a little bit of both, actually, because here's the thing. When I first experienced George Benson, I was introduced to him primarily as the vocalist, right? So
Sure.
we're talking about when the Breezing album came out. So, that was such a popular record for him. Everybody had it, right? You heard it everywhere. So I became aware of him because we had those records in my house of his Warner Brothers years when he started singing more. And of course, me being a young, aspiring, budding vocalist or whatnot, he was definitely a vocal influence being such a great singer.
Sure.
But then, of course, I noticed he had a guitar with him. And I don't think I, locked in on the guitar part at first because, again, the vocals were the primary focus on those albums, right?
Sure.
It was a little bit later, maybe when I was about like 10 or 11, that I became more aware that, oh, hey, he's a guitarist, like a real guitarist, because I was starting to play a little bit too. And I was experiencing his instrumental work for the first time. I think I heard album called Collaboration with him and Earl Klugh. Came out in 1986. And I remember hearing that album, and I was fascinated. Like, he didn't sing on that album at all. It was just him and Earl playing guitar.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, and I remember thinking like, so he can do an album as a singer and he can do an album as a guitar player. Like, is that possible? And so, I think once, of course, as I got older and got more into music, then I was able to delve into his work on CTI, which is primarily just his guitar work and on Verve. And I'm like, man, okay, this cat is a real guitar player, but he's a real vocalist. You don't really see that in the music business, right? There's not many guys who are great jazz guitarists and also a great R&B and pop vocalist. It doesn't exist, really. So he was like the blueprint that showed me, hey, you can do it. Because primarily what happens is like this, and maybe you can relate. If you are known for doing one particular thing, people tend to only see you as that.
Right.
Right.
100%.
So most of us never branch out to try anything different because we feel like it's going to be met with resistance, right?
Right.
You're like, well, hey, I'm a this. Well, yeah, I know you as the guy who, repaired my TV. I mean, I don't know if I could see you, So it's like, and you got to really have a certain degree of audacity to say,
100%.
I'm going to try something different and present something different, despite the fact that people may not be willing openly, to accept me doing something different.
Sure.
Watching and being inspired by George Benson showed me like, okay, you can do both. You can be an R&B singer and then you can go and be a jazz musician. And that was why I was drawn to him, because I'm like, he's the blueprint for me. And a lot of times.
That's truly amazing. And I mean, the fact that you were able to take that such a close association with those two things and be like, I want to do both. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would almost equate it to like that multi-edged player, the switch hitter, just the jack of all trades in some ways, mm-hmm. but with mm-hmm. two specialties. I want to talk about another influence that you've mentioned mm-hmm. is the Crusaders.
Mm. Oh my goodness.
It's funny because even the look on your face and everything like that.
Yeah.
What do you hear that connects with like your own approach to groove, melody, chemistry, the things like that?
Okay.
What's the pieces that you connect with on that?
So being, okay. So there's Alvin Frazier, the R&B guy and the jazz guy. So I have a group as well called the Alvin Frazier Group. And that's more on the jazz side.
Sure.
The Crusaders music, chemistry is everything. So like even the guys that I've recruited to play with me, you know, it's like there's a skill level that of course you're looking for.
Right.
There's a camaraderie you're looking for. But then there's also a chemistry, you know, a kindred spirit and chemistry that's there, because a lot of the music that we get into isn't so straight.
It's not straight 2/4 rock.
No, you know, we go in places, you know, a lot of times on our shows, you know, we compose music on stage. People say, what album's that off of? We don't know. We just heard it the first time you did. They don't believe that we can compose music to that degree like that. What's going on, brother? They can't believe that we could do music to that degree fresh.
Sure.
So we try to create those experiences that we'll have a set list of some songs we want to do, but we'll also say, okay, on this part here, we're going to compose in real time, you know? So I'm switching between bass and guitar a lot of times. And, you know, on the Crusaders music, especially the stuff they did in the 70s, you know, the bass is...
It's there.
It's crazy, man. You know what I mean? You know, the whole everybody, Joe, Sticks, Wilton, you know, Larry Carlton on guitar. What's my man that played the bass with them? Last name Walker. Can't remember his name, but those guys together had such a sound, such a groove, man. And I was like, okay, this is my group. Like I listened to them when I was a kid, and I've been in love with the Crusaders ever since, man, ever since. So yeah, that's how I connect with them, because of their sense of groove, sense of chemistry, and they're a very versatile group too.
Sure.
Because most people think that they only did funk stuff, but if you listen to their Jazz Crusaders era, when they were more straight ahead jazz, we're talking about in the 60s.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. So you really see like how versatile these guys are, and I'm drawn to musicians with versatile. I believe that that's very important as an artist and a musician.
There's something that you can just hear when the band is one and not individuals.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just something you can hear. You're Cleveland born.
Yes.
Have you been here your entire life?
I lived here my entire life. Well, you know, I lived in New York for a while.
Okay.
You know,
but you came back.
But I came back, yeah. But born and raised here.
With us being a jazz fest, what does it mean to you to get to play downtown Jazz Fest right here on Playhouse Square?
Oh man, it is something that I've wanted to do a long time, you know, so this has been a long time coming for me. A very important music event in the city. I feel like this year is a very special year, so I'm glad to be a part of the 47th annual year of the festival, and it's like a new era's beginning, and I'm glad to be a part of that, where that's going. So I'm like, yeah, this is the time, you know, that I've been waiting for to do the Tri-C JazzFest here in Cleveland.
So for anyone that's come to see you play for JazzFest, for lack of a better term, what journey are you going to take them on? Where are you going with this?
Man, oh man, let me tell you. So, you know, I'm a showman. You know, I'm a showman. I am a strong entertainer and showman. So that is automatically going to push me out, where you guys would be like, oh, you know, we're really coming to have a good time and get everybody engaged. But it's going to be a journey through some music, man. And that 45-minute set, it was like, how are we going to make it happen? We're going to work it out, arrange it, tighten it up. But it's going to be a ride. This show is going to be such a great ride. I promise you, it's not going to be a situation where somebody's bored or they're just kind of real, you know, not focused on what we're doing. We have something special that I think is going to have people engaged and going to have a good time. It's going to be a ride of music, for a little something for everybody, just about, almost.
I love hearing that, and having had the chance to sit down with you and talk about this, I have no doubt that you are going to deliver on that 110%.
I appreciate it.
As we close out here, the last question I kind of want to ask is, when you walk off the stage, what's something, and I guess I'll say walk off the stage and leave the podcast here. What's something you hope people understand about Alvin Frazier?
That he is truly committed to his art.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Can you give me a strong example on that, of just a way that, I mean, is it bloody fingertips in the dark corner of the house? Is it the long nights? Where's a good example of that?
You know what? It is a mixture of all of that, because I've had blisters burst by slapping on the bass in the past. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, all the things, you know, the late nights, the early mornings, being up till daybreak in the studio recording things and arranging music and stuff like that, you know.
When it's on, it's on.
When it's on, it's on, man. You know, and I've just been blessed to, you know, tour all over the country, tour around the world. You know, I've been a member of the Jazz Band for the last 5 years. That's been a great experience. So it's just, you know, you got to be committed and dedicated to it. But I believe that commitment and dedication to it has definitely helped open doors for me too as well.
Truly love hearing that.
Yeah.
Alvin, I wish you all the best when you hop up on stage. I don't think you need it, but thank you very much for stopping by. For everyone out there, obviously, now that JazzFest is over, you're going to want to go look at some of the performances online and check back on Tri-C's YouTube channel and other sites for more information. We'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in to today's podcast, brought to you by the Center for Entrepreneurs at Corporate College. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow entrepreneurs. Tune back in to stay connected with us for more insights and resources to help you build, innovate, and thrive.